We were there for Fashion Week, so I would wonder what Paris looks like non-Fashion Week. But yeah, I would say in general, people in Paris were a little bit more put together than people in London. London was like New York, but not as many fat people. Wait, I can't say that.
I didn't say that.
Oh, you looked at me like, oh no. Well,
I was just
there's
like,
heavier
oh, no.
people. No, there's heavier people in New York than London,
Kenny's
and Paris had least.
controversial again. Uh-oh.
No, I already got yelled at by Connor's aunt.
Hey, travel nerds. This episode is just going to be a little recap of what Kenny and I have been doing for the past few weeks. Life has been insane. We were in France. We bopped around on a river cruise. We went to London. We went to New York. And on Sunday, we're going to Las Vegas for a week. So life has been pretty hectic. How you feeling? You tired?
A little bit tired. Yeah. Yesterday I was at dinner with our poor friends from Reposit and I was on 9 hours. I was on 90 minutes of sleep from the night
9
before.
9 hours would be impressive.
9 hours would be, oh my God, I would pay big money to have 9 hours these days. But, I was on 90 minutes of sleep and I was delirious where everything that everyone was saying was funny. So I literally, Connor, Ann, and Alexa from Reposit were just cracking me up with everything. So I probably looked like a fool at lunch, but whatever. I blame it on delirium.
Definitely embarrassing me, but it was awesome.
Damn, how embarrassed.
No, it wasn't. I did feel the need to keep elaborating the fact that you didn't sleep last night as like a justification. I was like, oh, he's really tired.
You're like kind of treating me like your drunk uncle. Like, sorry, he's back on the bottle again.
You know, he's not usually like this. But out of all of our escapades, so let's like start from the beginning and give a little rundown of what we did. So we went on a riverboat cruise with this awesome event called E-Group, and it took you from Paris all around to these funky little cool small towns I would have never gone to and spit us back out in Paris. But out of everywhere that we went along the way, what was your favorite?
So Paris is pretty cool. I liked just walking around. We only got a day, which kind of stunk. But I think London was my favorite. London is just so cool. It's so classy. It's like clean New York, but not as busy, tons of history. So I'm kind of London over Paris all day. And hot take, London gets trashed for its food a lot. Like London has bad food. I thought Paris, the food was and London, I enjoyed my meals more.
Yeah. Totally. If there's any like recap from France, it's just that like if you are a French fry, pizza, burger type of person, which as Americans, most of us are, it's really hard to spend many days in France. I mean, when you're in Paris, you have more options. We were just in like these cute little small towns and there's just really no way you can go and get like a pepperoni pizza. It's like impossible. I was like, give me something greasy. Give me something visually that's not beautiful to eat because everything is too beautiful. But the croissants, you guys, not overrated.
They were solid.
French croissant is next level. If I could just eat that every single day. Oh my God. I always got chocolate ones, but damn, they were good. And you could go to like the equivalent of like a gas station and get their croissants and it'll just knock anything out of the park you've ever had.
Yeah. And she's not lying in any respect because we woke up each morning and I was like, so what do you want to do today? And I basically started calling her Croissant Connor by the end of it because she's like, want to go get a French croissant? I was like, we've done that 3 days in a row. Are you doing it the fourth day in a row? She's like, croissant, croissant, croissant. So
I was jonesing for it.
She loves croissants.
They're so good and they're so cheap. And it's just the only ones I ever have are like the bulk ones you buy from the bakery at Costco. And it's just not the same. But what's like another thing about Paris we can tell people? If people really are as fashionable and fabulous as you think they are. That was something where I was like, oh, you hear about it. You watch Emily in Paris. No, that is real. Everybody was so trendy, super hot, so cool. Like this guy was like passing us on the street and he kind of looked like schlubby. And then he walked, I was like, oh, that's the first person I've seen in sweatpants. And then he walked to like hail a cab and I was like, oh, his sweatpants are Dolce & Gabbana. So are his shoes. So is his t-shirt. Everyone's wearing designer clothes just like you think they would.
We were there for Fashion Week, so I would wonder what Paris looks like non-Fashion Week. But yeah, I would say in general, people in Paris were a little bit more put together than people in London. London was like New York, but not as many fat people. But wait, I can't say that.
I didn't say that.
Oh, you looked at me like, oh, no. Well, there's like, heavier people. No, there's heavier people in New York than London.
Kenny's
and Paris had
controversial again.
No, I already got yelled at by Connor's aunt for doing a bid on Outback. Let me publicly apologize. I don't think Outback is bad.
Tell her you love her. She's our biggest fan.
Auntie V, sometimes on the pod, to keep it interesting, I have to take an extreme stance. Okay. I've enjoyed Outback just like the next American, right? But no, we're actually saying this because a few episodes ago, I went out on a rant trashing Outback, and I was doing it to be funny, right? Because like if me and Connor both agreed every day here, it would be boring, right? I was like, because me and her like almost all of the things equally the same. It's kind of weird. But if we just did that for like an hour every week, people would be like, boring. So Connor liked Outback, so I took the other side of the coin and just trashed it.
You just took it a little too far.
I took it a little too far. Yeah. So Auntie V, I love you. I know her name is Connor Ann. She does like to be called Connor or Con sometimes. So we'll have to screenshot the email.
It's really like funny how defensive my whole family gets about my name. And I totally get it. And honestly, I freaking adore that everyone's like, it's Connor Ann, because my whole life, people just ignored the 2 part. But I will say in anyone's defense, I will introduce myself interchangeably as Connor Ann. Connor. I do both. So for anybody that, is like, what's this girl name? I do like both. So there you have it.
There you have
it, folks.
Yeah. So in terms of Paris versus London, which one did you like more?
Paris is just so like magical. And I really did feel like Emily in Paris. That's the only context I have of that city, but you do feel that way walking around. Everything is like, wow. And it's cooler than I thought and cleaner than I thought. And all the sidewalk seating is so amazing. And just walking up and down I'm going to say it wrong. The Champs-Élysées. the Champ. I kept calling lisp. It the Champs-Élysées. And then somebody was like, oh my God, that's so embarrassing. So I'm sorry. I don't really know how to pronounce it. But the main street that you see with like the arch at the end, that is seriously unbelievably cool and worth it. And I've never seen anything like it. So Paris is amazing. I will not dog it. And I don't really want to do the compare game. But could I live in Paris? No. Could I live in London? Mm-hmm. London's fantastic. Everybody was so freaking nice. Do you remember the guy in the tube that was just the nicest man we've ever met?
Oh, so nice.
He helped us get down like their version of the subway is the tube. And he was just the nicest. I don't know. That it's weird how you can meet someone for like 2 seconds and they can have such an impression on you. Like I thought about him today. That was what? 5 days ago, I was like, that man on the subway was so nice. I hope that we do that to people sometimes. They think back and they're like, remember that girl I met in that coffee shop? So nice. But London's incredible. I'm going to give you guys like a full day of something that I think you should do in London. So for starters, I never had an English breakfast, never tried it. I'm not really here to eat beans before noon, maybe even not till dinner time. I'm not really here to eat beans for breakfast. That's weird to me. But hey, screw it. Try an English breakfast. They respect breakfast too. Like in France, there weren't like a lot of like breakfast places. It was more like eat a croissant and have a coffee and like move on with your life. I definitely liked the fact that you could do anything here that you could in London. Paris wasn't really like that. But I would say go have yourself an English breakfast. grab a coffee, walk around. One of the most underrated things, well, it's probably not underrated to anyone else, but I would have never done this unless Kenny and I just passed by it and we're like, oh, that looks cool. We went into Parliament and it was truly like, wasn't it the coolest thing we did when we were there?
It was so cool.
That was the coolest thing. Definitely go. If you're not somebody who likes museums or tours or whatever, just freaking do it. Just go in there, do the one where you put your do the one where you put your own little headset in and walk around on your own pace. It is unbelievable. I've never seen any architecture like it. It's so intricate, so beautiful and cool. So definitely go to Parliament. And then they have really awesome Indian food. So grab some Indian food for lunch and then do the bikes. There's bikes everywhere. Hop on a bike, put your AirPods in. That was really fun. Really cool way to see the city. It's not like too spread out. So I feel like we got to see like a ton just by kind of staying like in the general downtown area. And then go see a show. What's it called? East End. It's like their version of Broadway. Go see a little show. It's the most London thing ever. And there's a lot of things to do late at night because people love to drink. So nothing closes until like 2, 3 a.m. And everyone's just pounding beers at pubs. So I would recommend doing that.
Yeah, there was a lot of pubs that we passed and there was like people just pounding beers in the streets. Now in London, I would say if you're a single woman and you want to just go to a pub and see like a sausage fest, London would be like your spot. How many spots did we walk by? And it was just 35 dudes and 3 chicks just drinking beers on the sidewalk. I was like, do women not drink here? Like what's
highly recommend taking your bachelorette party to London. just dudes in suits. Bars filled with dudes in suits. Yeah. And then you'd see like one girl in the corner getting like swarmed. She's like, ah! She loved it. But it was really cool. And then is there anything else I'm missing? I don't think so.
I think that's a good day in London, no?
That's a really good day. And there's a lot of shopping. Go to Oxford Street and go shopping. Okay, the end. Your turn.
Okay. I will give you, if you have to spend a day in New York City, here's what I think that you should do. Number 1, I would stay at the JW Marriott Central Park. It is a fantastic hotel. I know it's JW in Central Park. Just pony up and pay the extra money for it. It's really, really cool. And the location is sick. You just walk across the street and you're in Central Park. So when you wake up, skip the lounge, don't eat the lounge food. The lounge is good, but just go and stroll in Central Park and head, I think, east. And Liberty Bagel, I know is a chain there, but Liberty Bagel has good bagels. You're gonna have a quality bagel. So scoop up a Liberty Bagel, walk around the park, walk off like the 3 pounds of cream cheese that they're going to put on that bagel. Because when we bit into our bagel, the cream cheese like oozes out of it. They put so much cream cheese. And then I have 3 things to do. Number 1, I've done this one and it's fantastic and it's never too busy. So you do get like a pretty cool experience. But the Spy Museum in Midtown is fantastic and it's interactive. So you go through it and you fill out a bunch of modules and you do a bunch of like performing things. And then at the end, they give you a personality breakdown of what role that you would fit best in the world of espionage, which was really, really cool. So if you're into like spy and James Bond and all that stuff, the Spy Museum is excellent. For dinner, I'll send you to... It's an easy table to get. And there's a lot of like the best places in New York that are like impossible. So like Rouse or what's the one that we did the video on, Con? Carbone. There's so many tables that are impossible. Me and Connor walked past Don Angie's and we walked in and we're like, table for 2. It was 5:30. They looked at us like we were insane. They're like, what? You can't just walk in here.
There's so much Italian food in New York too. Like you can just dip in somewhere and honestly, it's going to be insanely amazing. Like you don't have to go to Carbone, you know?
Yeah. But this place, so I think Alcoro is a little bit in like lower Manhattan, but it's actually 2 Michelin stars. It's plated dinner and it's fantastic. There's live music, and the live music is like perfect and classy every single night. And you'll spend anywhere from like $400 to $600 on dinner. But honestly, it's amazing, and you can pretty much always get a table there. And then if you do want to do the Broadway thing, I would say go and see Book of Mormon. It's an oldie but a goodie, and I've seen it. I'd see it again, and it's really good, especially if you're with somebody who hasn't seen it. And even if they don't like Broadway, it's a good introduction, and it's a good safe bet for everyone because it's just fun. And so that would be my day in New York. So basically, walk in Central Park, get your steps in, eat a bagel, see what kind of James Bond spy thing that you're going to be, eat at a fancy Michelin star restaurant, and then go see a show to cap off the evening.
It's a very expensive version of New York. I could give you something to do in New York for $60 max a day. Do you take the subway, Kenny?
I do not take the subway. I stay above ground in New York, girl.
Are you sure? There's a lot of things to see down there.
I'm not seeing it. Once I heard that people were getting pushed and stabbed for no reason, I was like, yeah, I'll just take a taxi.
I will say the subway it's truly insane. It's like a life of its own. And it makes me really sad. It's heartbreaking how dangerous it is now. I mean, I used to go to New York by myself when I was like 17, 18, and I would just ride the subway by myself. That's scary now to think of like these kids. They're just trying to go to a class. They're just trying to like get to high school and the subway is really dangerous. So that makes me sad. But I don't know. Like, how do you feel about this whole like Paris is dangerous with the riots and like look out for all the people like angry right now in New York? Because obviously, like I get, I have a dad. So does everyone. Any girl that has a dad knows how it feels to be like, be careful when you're there. Do you find that, or do you feel unsafe when you're in these big cities? I guess you're like a tall man, so probably not. But
I typically don't, but there's some things like in New York, I don't go on the subway just because all of the bad press that it's gotten. So it doesn't not affect me, but there's very few places that I go. And I stay in a lot of like tourist spots too, right? So, I'm not staying kind of off the beaten path, but generally I don't really feel unsafe in places. And then often when there's protests, it's not like they're burning the whole city down. It's usually pretty contained, and protests are usually pretty boring. It's just a bunch of people like standing around in a crowd. So there's not a lot of protests that get like really wild and crazy. Most protests are kind of benign, and it's just a nuisance for traffic basically. But so that stuff never really bothers me, but I understand that moving through the world as a woman in a big city is totally different.
it's really crazy the world that we live in. Like we're just going to these places and like these work events and doing cool stuff, and the other side of the world is just like in flames. It's really hard to hear it. So just to say it, we're not going to like do an episode on, Palestine and Israel and stuff, but just to say it, it's heart goes out. That's really sad. And I hope that things get sorted ASAP, because
yeah, for sure.
It's insane what like is allowed in those parts of the world. Obviously it's not allowed, but I'm saying like, it's just hard to hear from, over here when you're just like sipping your Starbucks in the morning and you just could never even possibly understand.
Even when you're in Europe and there's like, bad stuff happening in Ukraine, like when we checked into the Marriott and the woman is from Ukraine, and I was like, oh, like my friend Erevik is from there. And I kind of told the story, and she was like, basically, it was crazy to see someone from Ukraine. They're still dealing with the war. And she was so positive about everything. And it kind of made me feel sad. Like, oh, geez, like if this girl can be positive about what's going on in her country, is what's going on in America really in perspective that bad compared with what's going on in other parts of the world?
And I hope if anything, the people that are just like going about their days, seeing this on the news, being like, shit, how do I help? I hope if anything, that is what it does. It makes you think like all the shit that I worry about all the time is nothing compared to that. Speaking of crazy shit, we were kind of like in Paris exactly when the bed bugs were, but it just wasn't like really being talked about that much. And
a little
right
bit.
when
We kind of caught the end of it,
but I wasn't like seeing it. And then the second we left, it was like, pandemic, bed bugs, the Olympics might get canceled. Life is crazy. Like, it was kind of nuts that we were there right then, because that could have been something that would have prevented us from going, maybe, considering how bad it's been.
Yeah. Imagine that the Olympics gets canceled because of bed bugs. That would be insane. I mean, they're already selling Olympic shirts in the Paris airport.
Are they? Oh my God.
Yeah, remember?
Oh, can we talk about the Paris airport? Ugh.
Go ahead. Just trash it, girl.
Jesus. There is nowhere to eat. You could buy Dolce, Chanel, Fendi. Like, there's every single bougie, amazing store you ever heard of, and just no food. Like, I don't know what kind of airport like doesn't sell. There was nowhere you could sit and have food. They were like, here's a sandwich, we made it 4 days ago, you can have this for $100.
Yeah.
But it was just so bizarre.
Can you buy a $6,000 blazer in like 7 different stores? Yes, you can. Can you get a decent lunch before you jump on a plane for 8 hours? No. Yeah, it was, don't go to the Paris airport. Just like take the train in there and train out of there and fly out of somewhere else. Seriously, it's terrible.
But okay, let's talk more about these bed bugs, because I want to look up like facts here.
So I just asked, tell me 8 facts about bed bugs. Are you ready for this?
Hit me.
Number 1, bed bugs are tiny, but visible to the naked eye. Okay, that's good.
All right.
Adult bed bugs are about the size and shape of an apple seed and are reddish brown in color when unfed. After feeding, they become swollen and darker red brown. Okay, that's gross. Bed bugs are nocturnal, these little vampire shits, right? And they feed on human blood. That I did not know. I just thought they were like in the bed. I know nothing about this. They feed on human blood.
They I just typically said that.
I know, but I wasn't listening.
Oh God, I hate you. You said it like you had just heard it for the first time. I hate you. Human blood. I just said that. You're the worst.
All right. They typically feed at night when people are asleep, but they can also feed during the day if necessary. Number 3, bed bugs can live for several months without a blood meal. So they could just lay in the cut waiting to suck on
They
some
walk
blood.
on hooked claws. So they lift themselves up from the ground and just.
Oh, little hooks? So they
because they
don't have any
onto you like a tick. And
they don't have any Nikes.
No,
they just got some hooks.
Air Jordans are not part of the bed bug community. But think about any type of like mite or anything. Stop it. I've had lice. Oh my God. My animals have had fleas. That is the grossest. That is the grossest thing. Ugh.
Okay.
And they don't have any predators. Like, nothing's eating or killing bed bugs. They're just like around. You know?
So there are some good things about them.
Oh.
Number 1, bed bugs are rich. No, number 1, bed bugs are not known to transmit diseases. That's kind of nice. So their bites can be itchy and uncomfortable. And some people, you could be allergic to them, but they're not known to give you like a serious bad disease.
I'm actually like shivering looking at these pictures right now.
Oh, I've never looked at a picture of one yet. I'm going to ask. Show me a picture of a bed bug.
But no, I mean, you're like, oh, I've never heard of this. It's literally causing widespread hysteria. People are losing their mind. They're putting it out there saying like, this is no threat to the Olympic Games. Don't worry. It's a big deal. And it started specifically right before Paris Fashion Week. It's like, we were in it. We were in it to win it. I'm just super grateful that, you know.
We got out of it.
Super grateful we got out of it.
We got out unscathed.
I mean, you can get bed bugs anywhere, you know, on the planet, but they will come home with you. They'll hide in your luggage. They'll latch onto your clothes, your body. It's like, oh my God. All those hot models just dispersing bed bugs around the globe. The hottest host they've ever had.
Yeah, honestly, they came for the right week. They're like, you know, bed bugs, they love models.
Yeah, bed bugs love them tall. Those long legs. Oh my God. Yeah, 5 models in one hotel room with bed bugs. Ooh, dang. Maybe like that's next year's Paris Fashion Week. Like it's all of the clothes are like bed bug inspired.
Yeah,
So
yeah. A
they're all
lot
just
of red,
dressed
a lot
like
of
giant.
brown,
They
a
all
lot
got
of
antennas.
like a lot of hooked feet.
I could see some heels inspired by that in my head right now. Oh, man. All right. I'm glad we covered the bed bug thing. That was the most important part of this episode. If you guys want us to talk about anything, email us at hello@travelnerds.co. We've been posting a lot with producer Molly on board. So subscribe to us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. You're listening now on whatever you are, but go check out the YouTube shorts. They're pretty funny. TikTok's pretty good. And then obviously, if you're not following us on Instagram, what are you doing? So thank you for listening. Appreciate you and have a fantastic rest of your day. Later, nerds.